Hi friends, welcome to week 3 of our science camp, and today we are going to start on page 34. This is Fearsome Fangs. I gave you a little hint last week that we would be talking about something with fangs, something that says S. You're right, it's snakes. And today's lesson is going to be a little bit different because it has a lot of little bits and pieces, and I've added some information to give us a little bit more than what they gave us in the book, because I felt like some stuff was left out. Not that this isn't a great lesson, but I wanted to give you a little bit more. So today, if you want to just watch and then you can follow along later, or do it on your own later if you just want to watch me do the experiment first, or go ahead and get all of your things and we will do it together, and you'll probably have to pause the video a little bit here and there as we go. Okay, so go get your kit if you did not pick that up on your way to sit down with our video, and while we wait on you, we will watch this fabulous video of cats. Those were some really cute cats. Okay, I have my kit. Now, there's a lot of stuff. Today, you are going to get out the socks. Now, my kit happens to have some really big socks. Yours might not be so big, so you're going to have your great big socks. We'll just leave those right there. I want to make sure you can see everything. And then you are also going to get out these little squeezies, okay? Little squeezies. You're gonna need that. If you want to use the wiggle eyes today, you can do that. We'll only be using those on one of our snakes. We'll find out why here in just a minute. Now, should be a little bit of glue for your wiggle eyes. Now, that's gonna take a while to dry, so I'm probably not going to use mine today so that we can keep going with our video, but you are more than welcome to glue the wiggle eyes onto your snake. That would be cool. And let's see, here is a little snake tongue. Oh, I have 2 of them. Okay. And what else? And then also, just for fun, because I happen to have some extra ones around, here's a little rubber snake that you can not scare people with. Don't do that. But these are really kind of nice. They have a lot of texture in them. And these are really nice little toy snakes. And so I just thought it would be fun to put that in there for you. We'll just lay that right there. And I think we have everything to get started. So we are on page 34, okay, in your book. Oh, one more thing. I have markers with me, okay? I'm going to use those probably mostly on my snake so that we don't have to wait for anything to dry. If you have markers, you are welcome to use them on your socks, okay? You're not going to wear these socks. They are for your craft today, so you can color on them. Okay, we are going to look at our focus today, and today our focus is classification. So there is something in whenever scientists are putting different animals into their groups, they are classified. There's different things that classify animals as different groups, like how many legs they have, what type of covering that they have on their body, whether they are the kind of animal that lays eggs or the kind of animal that gives birth just like a human does. There's all different kinds of things. And you can find, usually, I bet you have this, some of you at school on a poster, or you can find it on the internet or in a really big animal book that's called the Animal Kingdom. And it's this great big chart that classifies all of the different animals into the animal kingdom. And if I remember right, I'm having to think back to whenever I was in school. If I remember right, I think there are eight major classifications, and then it all breaks down from there. Okay, because like if you say insects, well, insects there's a lot of different kinds of insects. Some of them have wings, some of them don't. Some of them sting, some of them don't. Some have 6 legs. Some of, there's all different kinds of things that make insects different, but they're all still insects. Okay, so today we're going to classify some animals, and we're going to classify these snakes. Our objective is to explore how characteristics are used for identification, like what I was just talking about. And today we are going to look at, in our overview, some snakes are poisonous and some snakes are not. Now, there are a few ways that you can tell the difference. You have to get really close in order to look at them to find out what the difference is, but today I am going to tell you what those different ways are. So let's look at page 36. And before we really get going on this, I want to give you a couple of your vocabulary words. We only have 2 big vocabulary words today because they're kind of long definitions, and I'm going to explain to you what they are. So the first word is gland. That's G-L-A-N-D. And a gland is an organ in the human or animal body which secretes particular chemical substances for use in the body or for discharge into the surroundings. Okay, that was a lot of information. So a gland is an organ. An organ, now it said human or animal, remember? So a gland is like your heart, your lungs, your liver, your stomach, your skin is a gland. And, or no, it's an organ. I'm sorry. Your skin is an organ. I promise I know what I'm talking about. So that is what an organ is. Now, glands are a certain type of body part. Okay. And that body part, its job is to give out these different chemicals that regulate some of the things that happen in your body. In a human body, those are called hormones, and they regulate everything from your heartbeat to your metabolism, all kinds of different things. And so all the glands work together. And they also can even regulate how you grow, and just it's a whole bunch of things, and they all work together. Now, in an animal, glands work very much the same way, but we're going to be talking specifically about the glands that are in the mouth of a venomous or poisonous snake. Now, venom, what I was just talking about, that's our next word. Venom is a poisonous substance secreted by animals such as spiders, snakes, and scorpions, and it's typically injected into prey or aggressors by biting or stinging. Okay, so a venom is a poison, and poison, we know, is something that will make you sick. Poison can even kill you, and so it's very dangerous, and we never ever touch anything that has poison in it because that's incredibly dangerous. Now, it says also that it gets injected. Injected is like when you get a shot like whenever you get your shots for school. And so it goes into the body, and it can be by biting or stinging. Now, did you notice that our definition said it's for prey or aggressors? So this is something that these animals have, that God built into their body to be able to protect them and to also help them to hunt for food. So there's a reason. There's always a reason. There is a reason why God made these animals to have this poisonous venom. It wasn't to make them scary. It was because that's how they get their food, and that sometimes is how they defend themselves. So we're going to look at, back on page 36, let's look at step 1. Okay? Step 1 has this little chart right here that says poisonous and non-poisonous. Now, I don't know about you, but since it isn't in color and it doesn't give me an awful lot of information about how to tell the difference, they just all look like snakes to me. So here's a picture of these poisonous snakes. It should pop up on your screen. There's a copperhead, a cottonmouth, and a rattlesnake. Now here's a different picture of non-poisonous snakes, like a garter snake, a king snake, and the rough green snake, which was a new one. I had never heard of that. Now, there are certain things that are similar in all of those snakes. Okay, number one, they're all snakes because they don't have legs, they don't have arms, they have that one big long vertebra that lets them move around by slithering. Okay, now there are some differences with the snakes, and there are 4 ways to tell the difference between a poisonous snake and a non-poisonous snake, or venomous and non-venomous. And I looked that up on the Terminex website. Terminex is like a company that it's like pest control. Like they take care of like bugs and like critters around your house. And they also will come and remove snakes, because we do live in Texas and we have 3 poisonous snakes that I know of for sure. And I will look this up to make sure. But copperheads, rattlesnakes, and water moccasins, I know that for sure. And they also have those in Oklahoma because I grew up there. Those are the snakes that are poisonous that are in the area that we live in. And, you know, with White Rock Lake, and there's a lot of lakes around here, there's rivers, there's woods, there can be snakes out there. It happens. So the kind of snakes that we might see in our backyard, those are usually not. Those little green ones, little garden snakes and stuff like that, they're usually fine. But there are 4 ways to tell the difference. And number 1 is by their behavior. So if you see a snake and you hear that maraca sound, that is a rattlesnake, and that is poisonous, and you do not want to touch that. You also don't want to run away. I mean, you just want to avoid that. Just avoid that. And then you can also tell by their coloring. So there are these 2 snakes that I'm going to show you. One of them is a coral snake, and the coral snake is venomous. The other one is a scarlet king snake. They look very much the same. They have the same colors, but the pattern of their colors is different. So whenever the red touches the yellow, that is the coral snake, and that one is venomous. Whenever the red touches the black, so in the pattern it goes red to black, that is a scarlet king snake, and it is not venomous. And so that's some stuff you would really have to remember and learn before you went out. But that does help you to know the difference, is sometimes the color patterns will tell you. Now also, the 3rd way that you can tell the difference is the shape of their head. So a non-venomous snake oftentimes has kind of a triangle shaped head, kind of like a pointy head. And a venomous snake is going to have a little bit rounder head because they have to have room for those glands that carry the poison. So it gives them a little bit different shape to their jaw. It's a little bit bigger and they're a little bit boxier. And then the 4th way that you can tell the difference is by their eyes. So a non-poisonous snake has a round pupil, okay, just like people do. And a poisonous snake has the up and down, that it's like a little, like a slit pupil, that, like a cat. And they have different eyes. Now, all of those things, you have to be very close to the snake to be able to figure that out. So if you are outside and you see a snake, don't get close enough to where you can figure out what kind of pupils that they have. That's way too close. They're like right there at your face. You go get an adult. Unless you are with an adult who knows what they're doing, just don't even bother with that. But whenever you grow up, hey, if you're hiking and you're doing these things, then you will have this information to help keep you and your friends safe. So now we are going to look at step 2. It says place a white sock on one hand and make a snake puppet. Okay, so we are going to do that. So this is why I said this is going to be a longer lesson. Now, since I am, for the most part, right-handed, this is a really big sock. Oh my. Okay. It's a very warm snake. Okay, so you put it on your hand like this, you use your thumb, and you get the little puppet, right? Okay, so this is going to be a non-poisonous snake. So the non-poisonous snake, I'm just going to pick out a color here. Remember, I'm going to use marker. Let's go with purple. Why not? Why not? This is my snake. Okay, now, if you want to use glue, you could glue the eyes on. Okay, just like that. And you can even glue the little tongue in there. Just like that. And it's going to look really cool. Micheline does not have time to glue today. It would just take forever for it to dry. So we're going to make sure that this snake has round pupils. Okay, like that. Because this is going to be our non-poisonous snake. There we go. And then, okay, I'm going to take that one off so I can do the other one. And then we are going to make the poisonous snake. So let's go over to step 3. And it says to color it to look like a poisonous snake. So if we were going to color this to look like a poisonous snake, like if we were going to do like the coral snake, then what do we have to do? Okay, remember the colors are going to we're going to have the red touching the yellow. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this down. These socks are for somebody with very, very long legs. Okay, let me find a red and a yellow. I bet I have it. I should have it. I have everything else in here. Okay, so I found me a red and a yellow. And so you're going to make sure that the color, now I can't get it off. There we go. You're going to make sure that the colors are touching each other in the pattern. Now, I made mine kind of thin, but I think it looks better if you make it a little thicker. Okay, so there's my yellow and it's touching the red, and I just went all the way around. And on the eyes, remember you're going to have that different colored eye. Or not colored eye, you're going to have the different shape. Okay, so whenever you do your eyes, now you can't use the wiggle eyes for this one. Okay, you're going to make your eyes, the pupil is going to go up and down like this. Okay, it's not going to be a circle. It's going to go up and down, and they come out just a little like that. It's kind of a weird oval shape, but it's like a cat. Okay, that's going to tell us that that is a venomous snake. And then we are also Okay, you're going to have to take, and if you need to have your mom cut you a little tiny hole. I'm looking for my scissors. Okay, I'll show you. Okay, on your snake, on the underneath side, you're going to make a little tiny hole right there. Okay, a little tiny hole. Again, if you're on scissor restriction, if you're not supposed to be doing that without permission, then please go ask your mom to help. So once you get the holes done, this would be a lot easier if my sock wasn't so long. So you know what, friends? I'm going to improvise because there we go. Now, maybe I can do this. Oh, I should have done that to begin with, huh? So see, look, now I've got these two little holes. So this is going to go all the way up in there. It's going to be like kind of like threading it through. And you're going to poke that. Can you see that? Can you see that? Okay. You're going to poke that in. Now these are going to be like our fangs. So inside the poisonous snake, there are some little glands. Remember we talked about those that are like that. Okay, they're like these little pockets. And so whenever the snake, my snake's looking a little, he's not looking too venomous, is he? whenever the snake bites down on something, his jaw squeezes those glands and the venom comes out. Now these are very sharp. The fangs are as sharp as a needle on the end. So whenever it goes into something, it pokes it, it stabs it just like a needle, and then it puts that it puts the venom in there. It squeezes down when it bites down like that. Yeah, I mean, it's really very, very smart. It's a very, very smart idea. God always knows what he's doing, huh? That is actually pretty cool. I mean, it's dangerous. I don't want to go play with the snake, but it is pretty cool, actually, the way that it works. All right, cool. Now, so it says, using your poisonous puppet, we're on step number 4. Using your poisonous puppet, bite your other hand. Oh, we kind of did that. Don't bite hard because, of course, you don't want to hurt yourself. And as you bite, squeeze the bulbs and see how the fangs work. See how they're squeezing down like that? Yeah. I put my eyes back a little bit too far, and my poor little snake looks kind of like a horse. But it's cool. Put your eyes down here further. That'll look better. All right, that was cool. That's a good snake puppet. I've never made a venomous snake puppet. I've made snake puppets before, but I've never made one that was venomous. Now remember, you can glue like the tongue and all that kind of stuff in there. And that you're just going to have to let it dry, because I believe that you should have one of these or a container with this kind of glue in it. It's cool because it lets you work on something for a minute. It doesn't like stick it automatically, and it's safe for kids. But it does have to dry for a little while. It takes a little longer than school glue, but it works. School glue wouldn't work very well. So on page 38, it says, what just happened? It said, some people think all snakes are bad, but you can imagine what might happen if there were no snakes to keep down the rodent population. That is very true. You know, snakes eat rodents, mice and rats. Mice and rats could be everywhere. Remember, God created every creature for a special purpose, and that is absolutely true. Let's take a look at some of these words that we've been learning. Poisonous snakes have special glands similar to our salivary glands. Salivary glands are right back in here. When I was a kid, I called them my mustard glands, because whenever somebody would say mustard, it would hurt, because that's where, for lack of a better word, that's where spit comes from. These glands produce venom, not in people. We're back on snakes, okay? These glands produce venom to poison their prey. Venom even helps them digest their food. The fangs that dispense venom are hollow, like a syringe a doctor uses. If a fang breaks off, there's another one in the roof of the snake's mouth to replace it. So if they bite something, okay, and that thing, whatever that is, that animal, person, they jump away and it pulls out the fang, they have another one growing in, kind of like when you lose a baby tooth and your grown-up tooth comes in. Poisonous snakes have ways to warn us that they are dangerous, like bright colors or rattles. Aren't you glad God made snakes so we can tell them apart? That is very true. Very true. You want to tell them apart at a distance. Okay, not up close. So let's look at page 39. It says what we learned. List some ways that poisonous and non-poisonous snakes are different. There are some ways you can tell them apart. Okay, so what ways did we learn that they were different? First off, we learned that their eyes have different pupils shapes. Poisonous snakes and non-poisonous snakes, one has venom, one does not. We learned a lot of different things. Yeah. Now, let me ask you, can a non-poisonous snake still bite? Yes, they can. So just because it's a non-poisonous snake doesn't mean that they won't bite to protect themselves. So leave it alone. Number 2, we're on page 40. Describe the snake you created in step 2, and now describe the snake that you created in step 3. Okay, I'm going to let you do that on your own because Miss Shalene already described her snakes, and you can draw a picture of them right there. Let's look at page 41. How were the 2 snakes you made similar and how were they different? Okay, well, did they both have tongues? Yes. Did they both have eyes? Yes, but one had round eyes and one had the up and down eyes. And one had fangs with the glands and the other one did not. Cool. Okay, now this one, number 4, says using what you learned in step 4, describe how poisonous snakes inject victim into their prey. I'm going to let you guys do that. Ooh, and draw a picture of the fangs. Cool. Why are snakes an important part of our environment? Well, that's a good question. Why? Why does something that is poisonous and has sharp fangs in its mouth and wants to bite things, why are they important? Why would we want that? Well, they like we read a minute ago, they keep the rodent population down. I don't want mice running all over. They're cute. I mean, yeah, but I don't want them everywhere. Ew. And snakes do a lot of different things. And so, they eat up some of the stuff that we don't want taking over our plants and the food that we're growing and our houses. Yeah. I mean, I don't want a snake in my house either, but yeah, they have a place. They have a place. So I'll let you do the last couple of pages because that's a little bit more writing if you want to, or drawing. And let's look at what the Bible says about a story. There's a story with snakes in it, and a little bit about, now this is a different story. This one's, it's got some goofy stuff, but it still has a really, really good point. And there's a little foreshadowing. Now, foreshadowing is, it's a literary term. And when you foreshadow something, you give a hint. Like whenever there's a story, there's a hint about something really big and exciting at the end of the story. So it's kind of like a clue. right? And there's a clue about something that happens later on in the Bible in this story. Okay, it's kind of long, all right, but I'm going to read it to you. This is from Numbers 21. Numbers is towards the front, the beginning of the Bible in the Old Testament. This is with Moses and all the Israelite people. It says, so the Lord sent poisonous snakes among them to punish them. And many of them were bitten and died. Then the people came to Moses and cried out, we have sinned, for we have spoken against Jehovah, that's a name for God, and against you. Pray to him to take away the snakes. So Moses prayed for the people. Then the Lord told him, make a bronze replica of one of these snakes and attach it to the top of a pole. Okay, a bronze replica is make a pretend snake out of bronze. That's a metal. Anyone who is bitten shall live if he simply looks at it. That sounds easy. So Moses made the replica, and whenever anyone who had been bitten looked at the bronze snake, he recovered. So there's a lot going on in that little bit of story. Number one, the Lord sent the snakes. It wasn't an accident, and I know that sounds kind of harsh. But let's look at the big picture. God doesn't do accidents, right? So he already knew that he was going to give them a way, an easy way. I mean, all you got to do is look at something. He's going to give them an easy way to be healed. He knew he had a plan here, and that he wasn't just sending snakes out to bite people to be mean, okay? So number one, that helps that make a little bit more sense whenever you think about the big picture. And whenever the people said, Moses, we need help, you've got to go pray. So Moses went and prayed, and God said, we'll make this pretend snake and put it on a pole. Okay, well, that sounds really silly, but there was something going on there. So whenever God asked them to do something that was really, really simple, it almost sounded too easy, right? And so whenever God said, tell the people to look at the snake on the pole and they'll be healed, not everybody did it. And I know that sounds really silly. Like, why? Why wouldn't you just look at the pole and you'll be well? But not everybody did. And whenever God asked them to do that, he was asking them to do something that didn't make sense and that seemed silly, but it was so simple. And in order to do that, they had to trust in what God was saying and have a little faith. Faith is whenever you believe something that maybe you don't understand it and maybe you can't really see it, but you trust the person that told you, and so you can have some faith in that. So if they were trusting in what God was, if they trusted his words and what he wanted for them, then they would do something that was silly and that didn't make a lot of sense. And the people that did have faith and they did trust God, they followed directions and looked at the silly snake and got well. The people that blew it off and said, I'm not going to do that, looking at that isn't going to heal me, they didn't get better. Now, where the foreshadowing comes into place is there's another story where a symbols are something that represents something else, a symbol for all the people, all of humanity, okay, for all the wrong things that were ever done. A person took all of that on themselves and was on a pole, kind of like a pole, And if you just take a look at what's going on there and you acknowledge that and you see that for what it is and try to learn and understand, then you also can have tremendous healing in your entire life, in your whole existence. And that person is who? That was Jesus. And so whenever we see some of these older stories in the Old Testament that don't always make a lot of sense, sometimes there are clues in there that tell us about something that's coming, maybe whenever Jesus gets here in the New Testament. And that is another reason why we can always see that God has a plan, and that sometimes painful things happen, snake bites. Sometimes things don't go like we expected, and God knows that we're going to be okay. And if you are trusting in His word and you have faith in what He's saying to you, and you can follow in your heart what God asks of you, then everything's going to be fine. And you can trust Him because He has a plan. He's not just making this up as He goes, right? Not like Miss Shalene, who's oftentimes making it up as I go, because God is smart, and I am doing my best. So that was really cool. I think that was awesome. We got to learn a lot about venomous and non-venomous snakes. And I think that we got to learn a little bit about how God made some animals to be a little bit different. And most importantly, friends, God doesn't make this up as He goes. There's a plan here. And, we have to trust that God has a plan, and we need to follow what's going on, even if it feels a little different or a little silly. And that God doesn't make bad things. Okay, so are snakes bad? No. But Miss Shalene, they have poison for a reason. Leave them alone. You don't need to play with them. Let people take pictures with long distance lenses, and you can look at pictures. So that was cool, and I think we got to learn a lot. And I warned you that it was going to be a little bit different, that there were going to be a lot of steps, and so you might have to pause and go back and all that. That's what kind of happens whenever we are doing science in real time. So next week, let's see, what are we going to do? A bug's eye view. And I see that little prism looking thing. We're going to use that cool prism that's in your kit and learn a little bit more about that and how bugs see things, because they don't see things the same way that we do. Their eyes are different. All right, I hope you have a great week. If you need anything at all, just let me know. I'm happy to help. Bye, friends.